No, now it is being recorded. Okay, right. Then, so these are the building blocks of the internet. So what are those things? ISP, uh, then computer, then modem, and telephone line. So connecting to the internet, then we have types of connection that we can use to connect to the internet. Here, the first one is broadband connection. So the broadband connection is a communication technology that provides high-speed internet access using multiple channels of simultaneous digital signals. So the broadband may transmit on wired connection using coaxial or fiber optic or twisted pair or wirelessly on the cellular network. So the wireless means 4G, 5G or something like that. Then then expensive than dial-up connections, right? So these broadband connections are really expensive than dial-up connections because of the speed of the data rate, right? So we can get high speed by using these broadband connections, right? So the broadband operates from 10 to 20 times faster than dial-up connection, right? So then DSL and ADSL. So DSL means digital subscriber line, and it provides a dedicated digital circuit between residents and a telephone company's central office, right? So, and it allows high-speed data transfer over the existing telephone line. So that is the DSL, digital subscriber line. And then ADSL. What's that? ADSL called asymmetric because most of its two ways or duplex bandwidth is devoted to downstream direction and sending data to user. Only small portion of bandwidth is available for upstream or user interaction messages, right? So that means the upload and download, right? So most of the time, if you check your upload speed, you can see it's really small, and actually the download speed is high, but upload speed is really bad. So that's why even I couldn't conduct online lectures by using dialog or SLT connections, right? So that is the problem. So then actually, because most of the time we are using internet to download something, not for uploading, that's why they have allocated more bandwidth for downloading rather than uploading, right? So but as a content creator, if you are a content creator, YouTuber or something like that, then actually it's really difficult to use these type of connections to upload your content to the internet, right? So internet, the upload speed is really bad. Here the types of connection to the internet, and under that the first one is fiber connection, right? So simply fiber is broadband connection, and that can reach speed up to 940 megabits per second, right? And the technology uses fiber optic cable, which amazingly can send data as fast as about 70% the light speed, right? So that is means the speed of the light. Then leased line. So that is another type of connection. So that is a permanent telephone connection between two endpoints, and we can set up by using telecommunication companies, right? So line is always active. So that is a permanent telephone connection between two points set up by a telecommunications, right? That means we have permanently established connection between two points, right? So that connection is always active. So such type of connections we called as leased lines, right? Then next one is wireless technology, wireless LAN and Bluetooth, right? So by using Bluetooth also we can establish internet connections. If you know, if you are having a mobile phone, then you can use that mobile phone to connect to the internet, and then we can establish a local area network by using Bluetooth, right? So that is the very old scenario. Nowadays we are using Wi-Fi, right? Then internet service providers. So there are several companies in Sri Lanka. For an example, Sri Lanka Telecom, and then Learn. So Learn for actually Lanka Education Academic and Research Network, and that is not a company. Actually, they are not going to provide internet connections for the customers in Sri Lanka, just like it works with government universities and such type of institutions, right? So that is not just like a telecom, right? So telecom provide internet connections for all the customers. That means all the people in the Sri Lanka. But in Learn, they have different aspect. That means they are working with institutions such as government universities and other institute like that, right? Okay, then services of ISP. So providing internet access, email, web space, domain hosting, right? Then here, electronic mail. So there are several services we can use by using internet. So the first one is email, then FTP, then a remote login, that means telnet and news groups, right? So the World Wide Web is also a service which is available on the internet. So then most of the time I asked questions such as what is the difference between internet and World Wide Web, and last time also I told you what is the difference between those two terminologies. You know, the internet is a networks of a network of networks, right? So but in here the World Wide Web is a service which is available on the internet. Now, so electronic mail, so always you can send and receive text messages, right? Here actually nowadays not only text, we can have multiple things such as audio, video, and exchange of electronic messages and computer files between computers that are connected to the internet or some other computer network. There are dedicated software for that. So we have Fedora, Edora, and Outlook Express, right? So Pine, we have different softwares for that, right? Then email address. So it requires an email address to send and receive messages, like your personal home address, right? So in order to send and receive letters, you need to use your address. That means home address, or the place where you are living. So the address of the place where you are living, so you need to use that one in order to send and receive letters or some other kind of things, such as the postal things and some other goods also. Here you can see the same scenario has been applied for the emails also. In order to send and receive emails, you should have an email address, and it contains, actually it has a specific format, right? So you can see this email address, and it contains office and then this at symbol, and then the rest of the part with top level domain, right? So you can see these two different email address. The first one is, you can see the office at hdcc.lk, right? So, and the second one you can see natika at hotmail.com. So this is the the email service provider, Hotmail. That means Windows based email, Hotmail, right? So the .com is the top level domain, .com, .lk. So those are the top level domains. And then we can discuss more about these top level domains, and that is a separate story, and I will tell you that one. And most of the time here, right? So you can see, we can see this at symbol here. So every time you should have this at symbol with a valid email address, right? Then file transfer protocol, that means FTP. And last time also I told you the real life scenario that we can apply FTP, that is for web hosting. So the file transfer protocol allows the transfer of any type of file from computer to computer, right? and very common method of moving files between two internet sites. I told you that one earlier also. Then here, a way to log into another internet site for the purpose of receiving or sending files. So that is how we use FTP. And FTP was invented and widely used along before the advent of the www, right? So this is for an example, you can see here. This is the FTP connection. You can see this IP address 192.248.48.50. So this can be an IP address which has been attached with FTP service, right? Then here the remote login. So it allows you to log into a remote computer from your computer and network on the remote computer, right? So here for an example, telnet, right? So then news groups. So that means a popular feature on the internet and sort of an electronic form. News groups are organized by subjects, and members can post messages to read as well as reply to uh, any posted message. For an example, can you tell me one thing other than Facebook and Twitter? News group, tell me one thing you all know. Very popular one is available in Sri Lanka, and most of the time you can see some of the stuff with Sinhala also. Suppose if you are going to do a degree, or if you are looking for a particular
Link ID,
which one?
link IDEN or something. I can't
LinkedIn.
remember.
LinkedIn. That is also a news group, and yes, that is okay. Actually, okay, no problem. So in very shallow level, we can say, have you heard about what's that? Actually, the name is Elakiri form. Have you heard about that? The elakiri.com was a website, and previously they hosted music videos and such kind of things, and previously and after that they switched to the news group, such as they post a particular thing and then the others can reply. Have you seen that one? Don't you know about that? And I'll show you another example, that is Stack Overflow. Have you heard about that Stack Overflow? Instagram. Yes, all these answers are correct. And what's that I called Stack Overflow. Actually, that is really Helakuru. Yes, they are also having a news groups, right? So those are the things. Then internet applications and its usage can send a message, voice, video using electronic mail, internet, and telephone, right? So then can tap into thousands of databases, libraries, and news groups around the world to gather information on any topic, right? So if you are looking for a particular topic, suppose software engineering, and you need to learn some concept in Java, then you can use Stack Overflow, right? So then by using that one, you can find whatever the thing you need. And we have different topics inside such kind of websites. Actually, that is a news group. Then here, stay up to date with news, sports, weather, and any current affairs around the world with information updated daily, right? So then for an example, Russian and Ukraine. So then we can find some latest information, and and there were new incident I think yesterday. So I don't know the exact thing, and there may be something between America, Russia, and Ukraine, right? And recently, Ukraine had developed the longest submarine also. So those kind of information I found on the internet, right? Site. So that means we can stay up to date with news, sports, weather, and any current affairs around the world, such as Russian Ukraine war. Then, and we can listen to sounds and music and watch digital movies, online shopping, online banking, online booking, advertising, everything, right? So this is online shopping website, amazon.com, and you know this one, right? So then we have different online shopping websites in Sri Lanka also available, and AliExpress, Alibaba, Amazon, then eBay. We have so many websites for that. And also here you can see uh, what you can see here, uh, smart banking, right? So smart banking, you can see the banking stuff can be done, right? Banking stuff can be, that means cash deposit, that means we can transfer some money from our account to a particular person. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you know online banking, right? So now most of the time we can pay bill payments, we can reload, we can transfer money, everything we can do nowadays by using online banking. And this is an example. We also use smart banking, and people's wave we have, and HNB also, I think they are having, most of the private banking sectors are also using their digital banking services. Then airline services, we can reserve tickets and seats and everything, right? So those are the usage of the internet. And now we can switch to the next part of the slide. What's that next part? So I have downloaded this one. I'm going to open this one here. So now I have discussed the types of internet connections, right? Now I have finished that one. Then before that, actually, I discussed the architecture of the internet. Now the last part is uh, so this is the last part here. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now here you can see the structure of the URL. So because in order to access a particular service or particular location of the internet, then we should have an URL, uniform resource locator. And if you consider, if you carefully analyze this address, you can see HTTP. What's this? Tell me if you know what's the meaning of this symbol or this notation. Tell me. What's that? Yes, colon. That's correct. HTTP colon. Then what's this? These two. What's that? These two lines. Tell me what's that? Have you formally tell what's that?
Hash mark.
That is /. If you consider slashes, we have two types of slashes, / and /. Here you can see two /, right? That is /. Here you can see two /, then www.cnn.com, again / world, again / index.html, right? So this is the file, this is the HTML file, and this file is located inside this world folder. A particular web server, they have this index.html file, and where it is available inside this world folder, right? So this world folder is available under this www.cnn.com domain, right? And we can access this one by using this HTTP protocol and www service on the internet, right? So there may be some MCQs, and I will ask what is the correct order or something like that, right? So I'll give you an address, and then maybe some questions I ask, you need to rearrange the correct order of this terminology, right? So then it's a uniform, the same throughout the world, like your NIC number, or in, not for world, it's actually on for Sri Lanka, only for Sri Lanka, right? So that means the uniform. So this uniform means the same throughout the world, right? So it's a uniform way to locate a file on the internet. Each page has unique address known as URL, allows you to reach to an internet resource such as this kind of file. Then anatomy of URL. This is really important. The previously I told you very shallow level. Now we can go to the detail level. Here HTTP means protocol. What is the protocol? Protocol is a set of rules which is used to communicate, right? So here you can see the anatomy of URL, and the first part is protocol, and we use that protocol to communicate. That is a set of rules which is used to communicate. Then here, this is the host name, and actually this is the service, but here you can see host name. That means the www, that means the location of the host. I can hear something. What's that? Okay, now here you can see subnet, CS, right? Then you can see domain. This part is domain, and .edu, that is the top level domain, right? And then you can see here programs. That means according to this URL, you can see programs, right? So that is the directory. Directory means the folder, a particular folder, right? Because most of the time we are hosting these websites on Linux web servers, and at that time we are not going to call these things as folders. Those things are directory, right? Directory means just the same thing like folders here, and this is the file name. This particular file is available inside this directory, programs directory or programs folder. And here you can see this is the entire web URL, and it contains the host name, that means the location of the host, and this is the subnet, and this is the domain, and edu part is the top level domain. And actually if you analyze a particular URL, sometimes you cannot see these all the things, right? You cannot see all the things like that. Suppose ikman.lk, you cannot find these subnet and other things, but you can see protocol, HTTP is available, then www is available, that is the host name, and then you can see ikman, so that is the domain, right? Then you can see the last part is .lk, that is the top level domain, right? So if I go to a particular website, so this one you can see here HTTPS. What's that actually? HTTPS. What is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS? Tell me if you know. What is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS? If you have done some computer course after A level or whatever the thing, then you know. Otherwise, you don't know. Anyway, I'll tell you, right? Most of the time, you don't know, right? So no worries. Secured protocol. That means secured protocol, and I'll tell you how it works also later, right? So not now. Another message. What's that? HTTPS in encrypted one. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so remember this one, right? So this is really important. Then this one also really important, and here you can see the top level domains and the applied area of that domain. So the first level domain, top level domain, you can see .com or com, originally for commercial organizations, but now used by individuals, government agencies, and non-profit organizations as well. Then the next one is net. Net means internet service providers, they use net top level domain, and other network related companies also, they are using .net for their websites as a top level domain. Then org, actually that is a non-commercial, often non-profit organizations. Then gov, US government agencies. Nowadays, not only US, in Sri Lanka also, they are using gov, top level domain, for their organizations. Then MIL, US military, right? And then edu for education domain, right? So here in Sri Lanka also we are also using edu, right? So not edu, right? So we are using ac.lk. But if you switch to the America, then you can see this edu domain, and they are using this edu domain for education purpose. That means the educational organizations and some universities, they are using this edu domain for as an educational domain, right? So then country domains, LK for Sri Lanka, AU for Australia, JP for Japan, CN for China, IN for India. Then we can talk about how to browse the internet, how you can browse the internet. Technically, the above term is not very correct. Why? We do not really browse the internet, but we browse the World Wide Web, www. So the www is a service which runs on top of the internet, and it provides information to the server, right? Then here, how to browse the internet? To browse the internet, that means to browse the www, we must need a particular software, that is a client software. The client software which should be available on the client computer is known as a web browser. Maybe Safari, maybe Chrome, maybe Firefox. We have different web browsers. Internet Explorer, right? Most of the time we are using that one as a browser downloader most of the time when we are installing new Windows operating system, and then the first thing we use Internet Explorer, and then we download the Chrome, right? So actually the Internet Explorer is also a browser, right? So but in Sri Lanka, most of the time we are using to download some other client web browser, right? But if you consider all these things are web browsers: Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Opera, Google Chrome, Safari. Okay, now then here anatomy of web browser, what you can see here. So this is the address bar, right? So whatever the address you need to type that address here, right? So for an example, nowadays your father or maybe some other relatives asking, could you please create my fuel pass or fuel QR code? Then what you need to do here, you need to type worldpass.gov.lk here, not here, right? So this is the search box. What happens when you type a particular web URL here, then Google give you the result, right? So then you need to click on a particular link and then you can go to the respected website. What's that question? Yeah. Okay. HTTP helps. Yes, yes, yes. I'll come to that later. So here, what happens if you search on this place? I'll show you. worldpass.gov.lk. This one. This one. So what happens if you put your address? That means the URL. Here you can see, right? So HTTPS, because this is a secure one, right? Here you can see this address. If I copy this address, right? So nowadays actually when I type this kind of address, it will automatically get to the address bar. Even if I type that one on search bar, Google. So I'm using this Google search bar and I type address here and enter. What happens? Did you get the correct web address? That means could you go to the actual web URL? No, right? So what happens if you type this kind of URL on the Google search bar? Then you can see the search result of the search result according to the Google. But if you type this address here, what happens? You can go to directly go to that particular website, right? So that is the difference. Did you get that? Right, so that is search box or the search bar. Then here you can see Google Apps, and that means Google Sheet and some other stuff related to the Google. They are available here. Google Apps, YouTube, Gmail, Meet, Google Drive, Calendar, everything, right? So Google Translate, Google News, Maps, so many things they provide. So Gmail sign in, we can sign into Gmail, but here because I have signed, that's why you cannot see anything here. I think there are several accounts here, right? Okay. And the Google Apps, I talked about that. Then bookmark bar. If you need to bookmark a particular web page, suppose worldpass.gov.lk nowadays really important, no? So this one, right? So how can I bookmark this one? Press Control and at the same time D letter, right? So then you can bookmark this URL, right? So here this is the folder that is only the bookmarks bar, or we can save this one under other bookmarks, but most of the time bookmark bar is the better one, because then we can quickly find this one. Otherwise it will be difficult, right? So if you need, you can change the name also, but I'm not going to change those things. I press done button, right? So then what happens if I need to go to this website again? What I can see here, so if you click on these three little dots, and when you come to these bookmarks, you can see here full pass website here. Then you can quickly reach to that, right? So that is how you use this bookmarks. Okay, then and we have reading list and many more settings available under these browsers, because every day they are updating their features and everything, and so many new features can also be available in future. Here, anatomy of web browser. So remember these things. Address bar allow you to type the URL or search the Google, and Google apps. So those are the apps by Google, right? So they provide different apps. Then settings. So settings actually we can customize and control the browser. You can see these three little dots, and then you can see this context menu, and under that you can see settings, and different settings available. If you need something, you can search that one. Suppose I need to find some proxy related settings, proxy, right? Proxy. Then you can see here, then I can open proxy settings, but I'm not going to do that one, right? Just only for demonstration. Then reload and refresh. You can see here this button, and we can click on this, then we can reload the same page. But I advise you to not to do this one if you are doing a particular payment on the internet, and your browser sometimes you can see don't do anything on the browser or something like that. So then don't click on this refresh button, then there may be two transactions, right? So then you have to pay double, right? So don't do that. So when you are performing a particular transaction on the by using online techniques, right? So then so let the browser to do that one. So if the connection is slow, then what you can do here, you just click on this reload button, but don't do that one. You can simply close actually after a particular message, the status of the payment, the transaction, you can close, so you can do a new transaction. But before that, don't click on this reload button, right? So what happens then, there may be two transactions, right? So then that is really dangerous. So then reload and refresh, I talked about that. And so download the web page from the server again, right? So when you click on that refresh or reload, then what happens again, the web client web browser download the same web page again, right? So and here bookmarks and the reading list, and allow you to record the addresses of the websites you want to revisit, right? So I told you how you can do that one here. So this is an website related to the University of Rohuna. So I use these things and I talked about these things. Then bookmarks. So with the millions of websites and more coming online daily, right? So you will undoubtedly find once you want to revisit. Because of the bookmarks, you can place whatever the website you need, then you can bookmark that one, then you can revisit that website. So bookmarks and favorites save the addresses of the site, so you can return to them quickly without having retype the same address. To save the web page, go to bookmarks and click on its icon, right? So and then you can select that, but it's better to use shortcuts, really efficient. Control D, right? So when you click on the icon again, then the little page, the title of the page you recorded will appear at the bottom of the list, right? I have shown you those things, right? So I always encourage you to use shortcuts, so because it's really efficient, right? So you don't need to click a few times, then just you can simply do that by using control and D, control and letter D. So yeah, actually this is just an activity. Open any web browser in your computer and type this URL, right? And you can do this one, right? I am not going to do this one. So how to search information? So assume that you do not know the address of a particular website, but you want to find some information regarding something. There are many websites which provide the information what you want, but you might not know the address. In such cases, the search engines will help you, right? So the search engines are also websites which helps you to find other websites, right? So here the search engines allow you to search through millions of websites by your own keywords, right? So a search engine has one or more programs, sometimes called spider or robots, right? So that search the web continuously for web pages and create vast database of pages, right? So and not grouped by subject. So Google, Bing, and AltaVista are some examples. So these are the search engines: Google, Bing, Yahoo, Baidu, AOL, Ask.com, DuckDuckGo. So we have different search engines. So the DuckDuckGo is really good one, right? So if you need to search something anonymously, then you can use this one, DuckDuckGo. So then these are the useful websites. I'm not going to use this one, right? So you can leisurely check these websites, right? So this is the public administration, Ministry of Public Administration, the website of the Ministry of Public Administration. And this is the ICTA website, ICT authority in Sri Lanka. Then this is donets.lk, that is for examination result, scholarship examination result. And we can use Google Earth for if you need to find something related to the landscape, then you can use Google Earth. So that is another service which is available on Google. And defense.lk, that is for military purpose, and you can find some information related to the military or something like that. Then BBC News and internet banking, like previously also I told you, and other services, e-channeling, and something is web browser and search. No, that's really good question, and I came to that one later. Give me a few minutes, right? So I'll come to those things again. So this is the Sri Lanka Telecom website, and then sports, right? Skype and other government services, right? So you can read these things. I'm not going to read because it's useless, right? You can read. Okay, so someone is asking about really good question. What's that? Actually, he or she is asking is web browser and search engine are same? No. Web browser is a client software or client application, right? So it is available inside our computer. But search engine is a software, and that software has been hosted by a particular organization on their computers, and we can access that service by using a particular URL. For an example, google.com, right? So when we type google.com, then they have that google.com website available on the Google servers, and then we can access that website using google.com, right? So if you access that website, you can see this kind of stuff. Google, I show you. So this page, google.com, this page is available on the Google's web servers, maybe America most of the time, right? But according to the distributed computing, that means nowadays the computing industry is really complex, right? Rather than we are talking in very shallow level. Yes, I will give you all the PDF, right? Today I finish all the things, then I will give you recordings and PDF and everything, right? So don't worry about that. I will give you, right? So did you get the difference? the web browser means that is a client application which is available inside our computer, and then we can use that application to access the internet service, right? So the Google is a search engine, and it is available, and it has been hosted by Google organization and their servers, and we can use that google.com to search some other websites. But by using Google Chrome, we cannot search we cannot perform search something like that, right? Did you get that one? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So remember, the search engine is uh, actually a website that we can use to some other that we can search some other websites, right? For an example, I can search here classifieds. I need to find some classified websites with respect to the Sri Lanka. So I search here classifieds, classified Sri Lanka, right? So I don't actually, let's assume I don't know the particular web address of the classified website Sri Lanka, but I search classifieds in Sri Lanka. Most of the time in is not required. Classified Sri Lanka is also okay, right? Because right here you can see hit ad.lk, Lanka by Ansel, adds me, and we have coin.lk, smart market, kotua.com, right? So different websites we can see here. So then I think you have an idea. The Google is a website, and we can use that website to search some other websites, right? So that is a search engine, right? Okay, and I told you I'll show you how you can increase your internet speed at after that. So actually I talked about that last time, right? So if you are using, actually I bring my personal router SLT1, and I plan to show you the situation actually how you can improve the connection and how you can measure the internet connectivity. But even when I plug my router, then what happens actually, the SLT connections were not very good for online teaching. I don't know, according based on the, but I think because of the location of the university I cannot use that connection, but otherwise that would be okay. So in most of the time 4G, they use several measurements to measure the quality of the signal, and I'll show you that one, right? Uh, let's try to find something on the internet, because yes, this page, this is the page I need. Let's see whether all the information is available. Okay, this one is I think better. So this is the AliExpress. So this is also a website that we can use as a online shopping. Yes, this image is really good. I open this one like this. Can you see this screen? Can you see? This is for 4G users.
Yes.
Here, if you log into your router, right? So because if you are having a router in your home, then you know how to log into router. You need to type the address of the router. Most of the time that would be 192.168.8.1, right? So this kind of IP address is there backside of the router. then what you need to do here, you need to type this address on your address bar, right? Then you can log into router by providing username and password, most of the time admin, and the password is also the admin, right? You can find those information by looking at the backside of the router. Here, when you place your 4G router, you can see here, what you need to do here, you need to log into this page, go to settings, and then under the left hand sidebar, you can see device information, right? So this blue one, right? Then under that, when you click on that, you can see this kind of information. You can see this kind of lengthy information. You need to consider about SINR value, right? Can you see this SINR 4 dB? Can you see that one? Can you see SINR value?
Yes.
Then RSRQ value? Okay, then RSRP value. So these are the values you need to consider, and I'll show you how you can measure the quality of the signal. There is a way you can use. I'll show you that one. SINR, right? So refer this table. Right? Can you see this little table? So your SINR value should be greater than or equal to 20 decibels, right? So then your signal quality is excellent, right? SINR value. And your RSRQ value should be greater than or equal to -10. And your RSRP value should be greater than or equal to -80. Then only you can get excellent signal. And if those values, that means if I consider RSRP value and that value becomes a value which is available under -80 to -90, that is a good signal, right? And likewise, you can find the quality of the signal, right? Here you can see RSRP. What's the meaning, or what's the stand for RSRP? That means reference signal received power. This is the power of the signal, right? Reference signal received power. RSRQ means reference signal received quality. If the power is okay, but the quality is bad, then you cannot use 4G effectively. And you experienced my experience the last time. If I plan to do an online lecture, what happens? My signal was there, but signal is okay. At that time I used dial-up 4G connection, but I cannot do online lectures. What's that? Because of these the problems of these values. Then SINR value, so that means signals to interference and noise ratio. If your signals are noisy, then what happens? Again, you cannot use your 4G router effectively. When you are place your router, log into your router once you place a particular place, and then check these values and achieve the maximum value you can get according to this table, right? Is it okay? Hello students, is it okay? So this is for
Okay.
your life.
Sir.
So not for the class, right? So this is for your life and your knowledge. So because most of the time you don't know how you can place your router, because I know you do not have this kind of knowledge. So I finished everything today. that means basic things. And from next day we can start Microsoft Word and then Excel and then PowerPoint, and then we can finish our stuff which is related to the first semester, and then after that you are having practicals, right? Okay, is it okay?
Okay, sir.
And I'll give you all the PDF and the recordings and everything, right? Today I'll give you. And okay, now if you have any questions, you can ask. Any questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
If we are hope to use Wi-Fi in university premises, what is the best SLT or dialogue?
Most of the time when you are reaching to the busy areas, that means there are so many people who are using internet, then if you are using a kind of internet connection, that means the most of the people are using like a very popular one, then what happens, even if you are having signal strength and everything, but you cannot use that kind of connection because the number of users are high, right? So for an example, if you switch to the Colombo, and when you are trying to use internet connection after 6 p.m. in by most of the time maybe dialogue or some other connection, then you have signal but you cannot use internet because the load is really high. So you need to consider the level of the signal and actually the users, how many users are there, such type of connections are using, right? So the SLT is good, but the problem is their signal coverage is not good, right? So the signal is okay and their internet connections are really fast, but the problem is availability. Most of the time when the power goes, what happens, then tower will turn off. Then after the power failure, sometimes we cannot use SLT 4G, but other SLT connections are okay, wired connections, no problems. But if you are using 4G connections, then what happens? Some reliability issues may be there. But the very good thing is, if you are having a 4G connection in your home, and then only the person, then you are the only person that connection uses in your home, then you can bring that connection and test that connection here. And after that, if it is not good, then you can switch to some other internet connections, right? Maybe dialogue and SLT are the most popular one, and the dialogue is a little bit difficult to use because of the large amount of users. Then the second option is SLT. I think SLT, there may be no issues because in the city area they have different towers, right? But urban areas, but the rural areas and villages, only 1 or 2 towers. Then if the power failure, then we have no way to access the internet because of because the towers are going down, right? So I think SLT you can use, but before that, I'm not going to promote any telecommunication company. Actually, I'm not agree with all the telecommunication companies, because if the cellular signal is okay, then they cannot provide good internet. If they can provide good internet connection, then their reliability is not good, right? So if you consider those two internet service providers, you can see those two types of issues, right? So I don't know other telecommunication companies like Hutch, Airtel. I didn't use those things. Just only I'm using Dialog and SLT. And again, I had to move to the SLT connection because of you. Actually, I removed my SLT connection and I switched to the Dialog connection because the higher availability of signals. But the problem was, even if the signal was there, I cannot use internet. Then again, I had to switch to the SLT. So that is my experience, and you also need to try. If you are having a 4G router in your home, then you can bring that one. And most of the time, do not use pocket routers. But pocket routers are okay. But if the problem is you cannot plug that pocket router all the time, right? So then what happens if you plug those pocket routers all the time to the power socket? Then your battery goes problems, right? So then sometimes there may be while you connecting to the internet, there may be unexpected restart, right? So because the pocket routers are designed to use as a pocket router, we cannot plug those routers all the day into a power socket, right? So if you plan to use internet all the time, then you can use like Huawei B210, right? So you know such kind of routers available in Dialog also. We have different routers. You can use those routers, right? So when you are going to buy a particular router, you need to think about that also, right? So most of the time, try to use Huawei devices. I'm not going to promote Huawei because that is only a telecommunication company, and that is the world most popular and reliable telecommunication device provider, Huawei, right? That is the only thing we can assume as a good thing from China. Okay, so and one more interesting thing. Can you use your actually these are the problems you are having because I told you these things. Can you use your mobile phone SIM card in your broadband router? Can you use that one? Have you ever tried that one? Can you use your mobile phone SIM card inside your home broadband router, 4G router, not SLT, ADSL connections? Can't, right? Why cannot we use our mobile SIM cards inside our home routers? What is the reason? The reason is in Sri Lanka, not only Sri Lanka, we have two types of technologies when we are providing internet to the world, right? So those two technologies are TDD and FDD. TDD means these things are related to the wireless networks, right? 4G. And I'm not going to ask these things in your paper, but this is for your knowledge, right? So these are the general things. So in the 4G connections, we have two types of signals, TDD and FDD. So FDD means, I'll show you FDD. So what is the difference between FDD and TDD? Then I'll show you that one. So in briefly, I can say FDD means frequency division duplex, right? So they use the frequency and they divide the same frequency to transfer information, right? So very shallow level, and that is really costly. So they are dealing with frequency, and when the customers when the number of customers are heavy, then there may be really difficulties because of the frequency division. So then they switch to the time division. Rather than dividing the frequency, time can be divided and allocated a particular time slot per particular user. That is really easy and cheap, right? The dividing frequency and allocate the frequency for users, that is really difficult and that is costly. So therefore, in 4G connections, most of the time in Sri Lanka, you can see TDD connections and FDD connections. TDD connections means home broadband connections, Bell 4G, SLT, Dialog home broadband, right? So these home broadband connections, Dialog home broadband, SLT, then what's that? The next one is Bell 4G. So those service providers provide their internet frequencies, that means the 4G frequencies, by using time division technology. So then they will give you TDD SIM cards, and those SIM cards supports only for TDD signals, right? So, but in your mobile phones, the mobile phone signal providers such as Mobitel, Hutch, they provide frequency division duplex signals. They use different technologies. They are going to divide frequency and then they allocate those frequency for customers. So that is a different story, and that is really costly. That's why you can see when you choose a particular internet package, most of the time you can see home broadband connections. Most of the time we have 30 GB, 40 GB, 100 GB, such as big GB connections, big GB packages we can see. But if you consider mobile phone internet packages such as Mobitel or whatever the mobile phone internet packages, they are really small. The maximum package, I think 20 GB, right? Because that is really costly because of the frequency division technology. That is expensive. That is a expensive technology, right? That's why they allocate only very small amount of data for mobile phones. But such technology is really faster than TDD. That's why you can, if you consider, if you check, if you are going to upload a particular video by using your home broadband router, then sometimes it will take 30 minutes. But you can upload the same video by using your mobile phone. Sometimes it may take 5 minutes, right? So upload speed and download speed is really good for FDD connections. That means the mobile phone connections. But the problem is they provide very small data packages. The reason for that, because maintaining a such type of internet connection is really costly. Therefore, they allocate only a few gigabytes, right? So that's why home broadband packages are really big packages, 30 GB, 100 GB, likewise. But mobile broadband packages are really small packages. The maximum, the bigger package is, I think, 20 GB, right? So because of the technology, that's why you cannot use your mobile phone SIM that is belongs to the FDD technology. We cannot insert those SIM cards to your home broadband routers, because home broadband routers use TDD technology, right? So that is the difference. Is it okay? So that is for your life, right? So not for the class. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then I have another meeting, so I need to participate for that. So I'm going to stop the session and then I'll give you all the things, right? Recordings and the notes. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, then I'm going to stop